There's a kind of mental fatigue that no amount of rest fixes. You can sleep, you can take breaks, you can even step away from responsibilities, and yet your mind doesn't slow down. It keeps scanning, keeps replaying, keeps predicting. You're not anxious in the obvious sense. You're not panicking, you're not spiraling. You're aware. Aware of consequences, aware of timing, aware of how fragile certain decisions feel. And from the outside, this awareness looks like maturity. You're thoughtful, you're careful, you're measured. But inside, it feels like you're carrying a weight no one sees, because your mind is always one step ahead of your life. You think faster than you move. You understand faster than you act. You analyze faster than you commit. And slowly, a quiet frustration sets in. Not because you're failing, but because you know you're capable of more. You see potential everywhere, including in yourself. So the question that starts to haunt you isn't, what should I do? It's this: if I understand so much, why does everything feel so slow? It's not about discipline, and it's not about just taking action. It's about why thinking itself becomes the barrier, especially for intelligent, self-aware people. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand why overthinking feels impossible to escape, and what actually dissolves it. Part 1. Overthinking is a survival adaptation. Let's start with something important. Overthinking is not a personality flaw. It's not a defect, and it's not something you picked up randomly. It's learned. At some point in your life, thinking deeply protected you. Maybe you grew up in an environment where mistakes were costly. Maybe being observant kept you out of trouble. Maybe anticipating reactions mattered. So your brain adapted. It learned to pre-run reality. Before you speak, simulate. Before you act, calculate. Before you choose, explore every angle. This made you competent. It made you mature for your age. But here's what no one tells you. The brain doesn't update survival strategies automatically. What once kept you safe can quietly become the thing that keeps you stuck, because the mind that learned to protect you doesn't know when the danger has passed. So it keeps watching, keeps thinking, long after thinking is no longer necessary. Part 2. Why thinking feels like progress, but isn't. Overthinking feels productive. That's why it's so seductive. You're not scrolling mindlessly, you're researching, planning, optimizing. You're engaged, and psychologically, effort feels like movement. But effort and progress are not the same thing. Thinking creates mental motion, but no external change. And the brain can't tell the difference at first. It releases dopamine for insight, for understanding, for figuring things out. So you feel busy, you feel involved. You feel like you're doing something meaningful, but nothing in your life actually shifts. And slowly, thinking becomes a substitute for action, not consciously, but neurologically. Your brain learns, I get relief from thinking. I get stress from acting. So when uncertainty shows up, your mind chooses the safer reward. More thinking. Part 3. The need for certainty and why it never arrives. Overthinkers aren't indecisive, they're certainty-seeking. You don't want to move until you know, until it makes sense, until the risk feels manageable. But certainty is a psychological illusion. It doesn't exist before action. It only exists after repeated exposure. Every confident person you admire started unsure. They just acted before their mind approved. Overthinkers wait for internal permission, but the mind never grants it because its job is to prevent regret. So it keeps raising the bar. One more thought, one more scenario, one more plan, and each delay feels responsible. But life doesn't reward preparation forever. It rewards engagement. Part 4. Why overthinkers feel behind. This is where the pain deepens, because over time, you start comparing yourself, not out of jealousy, but confusion. How did they get there already? Why does it feel like everyone is moving but me? You know you're not less intelligent. You know you're not less capable. In many cases, you're more aware. But awareness doesn't compound. Action does. Other people learn through friction, through mistakes, through feedback. You learn through theory. And theory is infinite. So while others are collecting experience, you're collecting insight. And insight feels valuable until you realize it hasn't changed your position. That's when frustration turns inward, not as anger, but as self-doubt. Part 5. The trap of potential. Potential is comforting. As long as you haven't fully committed, your identity stays intact. You're not someone who failed. You're someone who could succeed. Potential protects your self-image, but it also delays reality. Because the moment you act seriously, results appear, and results are honest. They don't care how smart you are. They don't care how much you understand. They only reflect what works. And that moment is terrifying for overthinkers, because it threatens the idea of being capable. So instead of risking that, many intelligent people stay in preparation mode. They keep learning, keep refining, keep waiting. Years can pass like this, quietly, and one day, potential stops feeling like protection and starts feeling like regret. Part 6. Why commitment feels like loss. Commitment is hard for intelligent minds, because intelligence sees alternatives. Every choice excludes something. Every path taken closes others, and you're acutely aware of that. So choosing feels like loss. What if this isn't optimal? What if there's a better version of me? So you stay flexible, you keep options open, you avoid locking yourself in. But progress requires exclusion. Every meaningful life is built by saying no. Again and again, commitment isn't about certainty. It's about accepting uncertainty and moving anyway. Part 7. Why overthinking is so exhausting. Overthinking doesn't tire you because it's complex. It tires you because it never resolves. Your brain keeps opening loops, decisions without decisions, questions without answers, and the nervous system stays activated. That's why you feel drained without doing anything. Your mind is working overtime, but your life isn't moving. You're mentally sprinting while physically standing still. Part 8. How overthinkers actually start moving. This is the pivot. Overthinkers don't change through motivation. They change through constraints. You limit thinking time. You shrink decisions. You shorten commitments. Instead of, what's the best move? You ask, what's the next reasonable step? Instead of, what if I regret this? You ask, what can I learn from this? Action becomes safe when it's reversible. And once movement begins, thinking becomes an advantage again. Because now it serves refinement, not avoidance. Key takeaways. Let's ground this. Not in theory, in behavior. 1. Create artificial deadlines. Your brain will think forever if you let it. Decide when thinking stops, then move. 2. Commit in seasons. 3 months, not forever. Enough time to get real feedback. 3. Track effort, not results. Results lag. Effort rewires identity immediately. 4. Normalize discomfort. Confusion is not failure, it's participation. 5. Build momentum before confidence. Confidence is earned, not summoned. If this resonated, it's not because you're broken. It's because your mind is trying to protect you in a world that only responds to action. Overthinking isn't your enemy. It just needs boundaries. At some point, preparation becomes a prison, and safety becomes stagnation. You don't need to stop thinking. You need to stop letting thinking delay living. The people you admire weren't fearless. They were willing to move while unsure. That's the difference. So if you're standing still right now, not because you're lazy, but because you care. Not to judge, not to pressure, just to notice. You're still here, still listening, still open. That means you haven't quit. You've just been waiting for permission. This is it. One step, one action, one imperfect move. Life doesn't open all at once. It opens in response.